and look at the person that sits down at the back table. The person that walks in and realizes, well, nobody saved the place for me. The new person that comes in, and this, shame on me, I play piano, so I get over in one corner. I'm playing before the meeting. I had a guy that was CSX. They said, this is the guy that we think is going to get the most out of Rotary. I didn't see him for 3 months. I called him up. He said, oh yeah, I haven't come in 6, 7, 8 months. And I said, when did you quit? He said, a couple months ago. I said, will you go out to lunch with me? Here's what happens. He goes up and people go, Kelly, you're new, right? Yeah, Kelly. So, oh, wait a second. And he said they would literally turn their back. He said it's obvious that they like each other. And it's obvious that they're friendly toward new people. But it's not obvious that they really care. I mean, they have to shake hands. And then we found out that we had 2 members that went along like this and said, oh, Lane, really good seeing you. And, you know, I need to talk to you, but these are the new folks. Walked right through them. Almost bumped into them because, and look at your clubs that way and see if that's happening. Our secretary finally had to take one of them who was in the welcome line and was talking to this person out until they saw the next one that they knew to welcome and skip the ones in between. But until we saw these numbers for our club, we didn't realize that. So get your numbers, look at what they are. Ask your president to get those numbers. So here's the important thing. You may be riding a fantastic horse on existing member retention. There are some great clubs that have 70-year-old members and not one of them is left except in a box. They're doing great. They're just not doing well here, and they're not doing well on bringing in new members. So, here's on existing member retention. Anybody that's currently a president? Okay. Wow. Anybody that's currently a membership chair? All right. Existing members, the most important thing is listen. When I was getting to be president of our club, I heard the president, the current president, listening to a guy who said, you did away with the head table. I can't believe you did that. It just destroys the image of our club. And he's going, wow, I understand what you're saying. And afterwards, I mean, he clearly heard him. He repeated back. It was clear that the member knew that he understood him. And afterwards I said, you know, this was your big thing. You were doing away with the head table. He said, and I said, why'd you back up? He said, I didn't back up. I listened to him. And I thought, interesting. I would have pushed back against that member and given him all the reasons why, because I know I'm going to convince him. No, he just listened. And then he said, I'm going to listen to some others of the old members, but the new members like this, so I'm going to weigh that out. But I was like, duh. That member knew he was listened to, and the member is still a member to this day. So, listen. Recruit those who share your passion. When you're looking, tell them how many of you will pull the folks into a session before they join and say, do you know what you're getting into? Okay. If you don't, then there's no reason why somebody would. It's no surprise that people leave, because they suddenly get a bill and they realize this is a surprise. How many of you, when you have a new member coming in, do you have a fireside chat? Okay, I don't see that consistently. So the rest of you, how many of you don't have a fireside chat?
We don't call it a fireside chat, but we have somebody who's an orientator, right?
Okay.
It's time to do an orientation.
Okay. So you're doing some sort of orientation. In our club, we did a fireside chat because we're telling you what the club is. We went through all the information. What we didn't do was we didn't ask, what's your passion? so that we could plug them in immediately. And I found fascinating things once I talked to people about what their passion was. And the reason I started, we brought in the, what do you call the defender of the indigent, the public defender. Brought him in and I thought, you know, I had to ask him. And it was fantastic what he said. It was exciting what he said. And I realized, we've got 2 other new members who are really interested in that. If your new member attraction is low, and this is for recruiting new members up here. If your attraction is low, you gotta have a process. If you don't have someone in charge of that process, and I propose to you it needs to be for 3 years. Bill Gates has a great comment. People grossly estimate what they can accomplish, or overestimate what they can accomplish in 1 year, and vastly underestimate what can be accomplished in 3 to 5. So if you do it in 3 years, by the end of your first year as membership chair, you're just starting to get some traction, and then we say, okay, pass it off. No, we need, Rotary has had to do, when we wanted younger people, we set up a focus group for them, and we found 2 big things, time and money. And we had to set up a different time for them to meet. And it just so happened, it happened to be when it was happy hour, and that was a hit. And it also allowed the cost to drop down. So they may be paying the same amount, but they're doing it for the drink that they want rather than the lunch that we'd mandate. And they don't have the time to come at that lunchtime. So, we talked about listening. Here's a simple thing you can do at your club. It's the simplest survey you can do. It's called a red, yellow, green. You hand out a piece of paper. It's not a huge piece of paper, so you don't end up with, you know, the Encyclopedia Britannica on it. But it says, what's red? 1 or 2 things that the club really should stop doing. Yellow. What 1 or 2 things do we do okay, but boy, we could really improve on that. Or, in that area. And green, what are the 2 things that are just the knockdown, towering strengths of our organization that we just need to make certain we keep doing? If you do this, it gives you your chance to hear from all of them, your existing folks and your new folks, and get a sense of where you need to be. Because when you start trying to build membership, if you don't have your foundation solid with your existing members and know what you are, you're in deep trouble. With my club, that horse I was talking about, I would ask people, what are we? And they said, we're programs. Seriously. We're programs, and we give $25 a quarter. We don't do bake sales. 25 bucks a quarter. In 1955, that was 10 times as much. So that was significant. But we haven't changed it since 1955. That was 25 bucks a quarter. That doesn't define a club. So you need to understand what you are and what the value is there, and look at it so that when people walk in, and for presidents, when they walk in and things are happening, and you're good at recognizing people for the things that are happening, so the other club members hear what's going on. That's crucial. But to get this part strong so you understand where people are feeling that value, it's the green section down there on that survey. Then you engage, if you feel like you need to bring in the next generation, and I'm going to propose to you that if you're not doing it now, you need to start thinking pretty seriously about doing it, because those folks are joiners. They are folks, they're not going to join the way we do, but they are folks that are going to make things happen if it fits their style of doing things. Then, in your own club, you're going to have to build that support for change. And here, I understand you all have heard Scott and Pepper from 6910 come down, the folks up in North Georgia. They talk about workout buddies. If you need to make a change, I want you as a workout buddy. Because when I've just been hammered on by him, I go back to you and say, stay the course, we're going to make this happen. Why don't we adjust it this way? Great. It helps you keep going, and it also helps you spread out. Yes, Bob? It helps you spread out so you get more penetration in your club. And then you invite visitors. Notice, I haven't really stressed this part. You're fixing this to fix your retention. You're then figuring out how you're gonna keep those new folks in. Now you can invite visitors. So, if you want ideas for change, talk to your assistant governor about your club's retention and because that she actually goes to other clubs that are similar to hers to see what are they doing. And every time I go to a club, I pick up something. And then, go to the second session today on membership, which happens to be right here. And find out what some of your successful clubs are doing and find out how to build on the successes that they've got. So remember, it takes some work. This is not a simple task. And the great philosopher says, baseball is 90% mental, and the other half is physical.
It must be
So,
Yogi.
who was it?
Yogi Berra.
Exactly. Figure out where the problem is, fix the problem, enjoy where it's going well, celebrate so that you create that value, that sort of vibrant club feeling as you fix these things, and then start figuring out, all right, how do we grow in those new areas in a successful way? You hear some ideas about other structures. My club had to actually change its structure. We figured out where we were going first, and then we changed our structure. So, that's it that we did. It helped us, and I should also mention, last thing, how did we fix our numbers? We fixed retention. We improved retention 2 to 3%. We fixed the holes in the bucket. We improved our processes a little bit, and we're working on the attraction side now. And we're also going back and fixing the retention. It's a constant, I don't want to say battle, it's a constant process to keep looking at it and figuring out who needs to fix what, who's falling off the wagon. But that's how we're staying in a positive direction. Any questions or comments? Yes?
My treasurer is also the president of one of our credit unions, or she's treasurer-elect, but she has broke up the monotony of those old guys club. Washington Redskin Lynn Hoss is in my club, and he's starting with dementia a little bit. And she will go and sit with these men and these, because we've got a group of men that those four sit at those four tables and
Yeah.
they don't want to move.
Yeah.
But
So she's breaking it up.
she's kind of breaking up the monotony. Now it's Mr. Lynn doesn't get happy because he needs that, constant.
Yeah.
But, Margaret Jacobs was our first woman in our Rotary. So,
Oh, okay, so you're from
You know.
Jeffrey. Okay.
Is there any history or advice on trying to get people back? If you know why people left, that there's some specific something that has changed, is there any experience
I'll
to
just
know?
tell you what ours was. We had one person we had a group of four